Welcome to the Post Racing Podcast with Ron Robinson and Sean Travass. Post Racing, the site for winners.
Afternoon, Sean. Sorry,
Good afternoon.
not feeling 100%, mate. What's going on?
Man flu.
Ooh.
I've discovered while working that trying to type while sneezing and coughing is a skill I'm yet to master.
Typo.
So yeah, we had to use a few spell checkers on my articles for this week. That's for sure, but never mind. I'm still here in spirit, if not in body. So not too bad. What did everybody think? We had an interesting week last week, didn't we?
Oh, didn't we just? I mean, the very first question you've asked this week, the Irish at Cheltenham, how did they really do? And how can British racing compete? And you'd actually done some sums on this, and you made a total of 252 runners they sent over.
Yeah, that's my guesstimate, because I might have missed one or two, but that's right.
Yeah. But if you'd have had the level stake pound profit at Betfair SP, you would have made a profit of £202.32, backing them all blindly. Now,
Mad.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But I know they were very much helped by that 100-to-1 winner that actually paid 225.81 Betfair SP.
Yeah, that. My figures were to Betfair SP, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because I'm inclined to do that, because I found every system I ever run and put into books, if you run it to starting price as opposed to Betfair starting price, the differences are astronomical.
Oh, aren't they just? Yeah,
Always,
anybody not
always.
bet? You should bet to Betfair SP. It's as simple as that.
I know it's sad. I don't want to feel like I'm trying to sell Betfair over other bookmakers, but the systems don't lie. Historically, I'm not saying that will continue into the future. Historically, they pay out better.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I was doing the stats after day one of Cheltenham last week, and I advised everybody, we made a nice profit on the 31st day, because we had the winner of the Fred Winter, we've had a winner of the bumper and this type of thing. But if you'd have bet to Betfair SP, you'd made about 9 or 10 points more on those two races alone.
Yeah, it's worth noting that, isn't it, really?
Well, I never do anything else, I'll be honest with you.
Don't blame you. The other thing to note, when we go, the Irish are winning everything, they're winning everything, it's outrageous, what are we going to do? Yes, there is things need to be done, and we'll talk about that in a second, but let's not work out. That's 252 runners. That averages at 9 runners in each race.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah.
And remembering that some of those races only had 6 or 7 runners in.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't have 9 in that, for those who think I'm that bad at maths. It just goes to show how over-egged they were in some of the other races. It is a case that they've got the quality, but it's also the case that they've got the quantity.
They have, yeah.
And that makes it very, you can't compete when they've got 8 runners and we've got 2. Mathematically, the odds of us winning are poor, even if it is a John Bonner.
Well, it's like the Triumph Hurdle, right?
Yeah.
You had 2 hot pots at the front of the market, East India Dock and Blue Lambert.
Yeah.
Right? But if you had the rest of the field running for you, you had an 8 to 11 chance.
Yeah.
You had an odds-on shot to beat those 2 at the front of the market.
Yeah.
By virtue of the fact that Mullins had 11 runners in there to begin with,
It's a very difficult question. I've thought about it many times, and I've read lots of things on Twitter and other social media. You've got to stop a trainer having more than 2 runners in a race.
Yeah.
And that's a favourite that people like to come out with.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Ron, you and I own a horse with Willie Mullins. We can always dream, can't we? Or Post Racing, even better, we own a horse with Willie Mullins.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Ron. I know we trained him for the Triumph, but he can't run because I've got 2 that I think are better than that.
Yeah.
So we can't run him. What? But I'm the owner. I want to run him, Willie. You can't say to an owner. That's the thing. You're not really saying to Willie he can't run the horses. You're saying to the owners they can't run the horses, aren't you? And that's where the problem.
Basically it. Yeah. But I think what they're trying to do, what they're trying to do is get these good horses spread around to other trainers. That's what the top and bottom of it is. And that's what actually, when this was first mooted, Michael O'Leary of Ryanair, he actually said, well, if you do that to us, all we'll do is put these in with other trainers for the one race and then send them back to the original trainer again afterwards. I mean, they're talking about the same situation now for the Grand National every year. And it is a case of, I think is it JP owns 5 of the first 7 in the market or something. And it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But speaking as a purist who loves his horse racing, I see that it is cockeyed. It's all skewed at the moment. But when the Grand National comes around and the 200 million people around the world are watching the race, They won't care who trains it or who owns it. They're just having a bet on the Grand National, you know.
Exactly. Well, if you put a line through the trainer, so it wasn't published, if you like, and a line through the owner, not that we would like to do that if we're trying to work out winners, but if you did that, most people would go, oh, look, there's 15 really good horses going for that race. Yeah. It's only because you add into it who the trainer is and who the owner is. Oh, he's got 5 in it. Oh, he's got 10 in it. And we all moan, and I can understand why, but I don't necessarily think we have an answer yet. I think we need to source better horses ourselves. And Ron and I, do you want to discuss this now? We were discussing that we need to invest in the point-to-point field here, perhaps, and make it stronger because, you know, I'm going to get accused of something and end up in prison for this probably, but you have to wonder sometimes. A horse wins a point-to-point somewhere in Ireland on its first start. Yeah. You have no idea. And they're all having their first start. It's a maiden point-to-point. So most of them haven't had a run yet. It wins by 3 lengths and is sold for £240,000.
I know. Yeah.
How can you possibly know how good that horse is?
You can't. It's impossible. And I was actually looking. If you go back onto the it'scheltenham.com site, you'll see that I've still got a list of horses up on there that went through the sales ring. For huge amounts of money. And 2 of the highest they cost the most that particular season 2 years ago. They've not won a race yet.
No.
One of them ran 3rd last time out. Paul Nicholls paid something like £450,000 for one. Hasn't won a race yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. Money doesn't guarantee it. Ask Godolphin in there.
It doesn't. No.
Sheikh Mohammed, when you used to pay multi-millions for horses that didn't end up being as good as you hoped, shall we say?
Yeah.
No, I accept that's on the flat. I don't think it's a cast iron way, and yet they seem to find them. And obviously, the bloodstock occasions don't just look, oh, we won a maiden point-to-point, we'll buy him. They look at his breeding and his conformation and the time of the race and everything about him.
Yeah.
I'm not decrying what they do, but we need to do the similar here. We need to up our point-to-point game so that there become more horses, basically more high-class horses. I had a quick look at that Cheltenham sales. And I looked at page 1 because I didn't have that much time.
Yeah.
Something like 7 that went for 200,000 or more.
That's right. Yeah.
Out of the 7, 6 of them, the stallions stand in Ireland.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. One of them stands in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, contrary to popular belief, we actually have stud farms over here.
I know.
Plenty of them. So we're not competing at the highest level. I do accept this is not something we can change overnight. I do understand that, but perhaps racing needs to find a way to invest. Well, actually, perhaps racing needed to find a way to invest when it had more money.
Yeah.
For a long-term solution. I'm wary now because I don't think there's much money left in the kitty for anyone to do anything with.
Well, there's not. I mean, they haven't even got a marketing budget.
No. It's a touch embarrassing. We'll stick with them and we'll keep going, and we're not going to slag off racing because that's what we make a living out of. And it's also what I've enjoyed for the last, I'd like to think, 40 odd years probably.
Yeah, well, I sat down the other day and I thought to myself, how long have I actually been doing this now? I actually started in the year 2000 doing what I'm doing now.
Wow.
25 years I've been doing this.
Yeah. But you don't feel like it, does it?
How quickly has that gone? Only I can answer that. But yeah, it is ridiculous. But just going back to this point-to-point thing.
Yeah.
In Ireland, it's a professional game. Don't let anybody try and convince you otherwise. You've got the likes of Derek O'Connor and Jamie Card and people like that. And they are paid to ride these point-to-point horses and then go back to the likes of Willie Mullins and JP McManus and say, you want to get that one. You want to get that one. Because these are professional jockeys. Then there's no way they are amateurs. Not a snowball in hell. They get paid to ride these horses. They get paid thousands of euros to ride these horses in point-to-points over there. I got taught that by an Irish trainer. And you think to yourself, we're not going to compete on that level over here. We're just not. We don't want to.
But we need.
I said something to you the other day.
Yeah.
That our point-to-point field, for want of a better description, likes to be separate from the professional national hunt game. That's the feeling I get. It's the Range Rover and Wellies Brigade. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they like the fact that it's separate, whereas in Ireland, it is very much part of the professional scene. That is where their Gold Cup winners come from, their champion hurdlers. And there's no two ways. We are never, ever going to get to that level in this country because we don't want to. The BHA put up £100,000 bonus 2 years ago for a national hunt horse bred in the UK that goes on to win at Cheltenham. I'll guarantee you nobody's even tried to do it.
No, I just think it's sad. I think, I'm always I'm not a glass half empty. I'm probably not even a glass half full. I'm like, are you going to drink that? Because if not, I'll think. But yeah,
a glass, have you?
I can't afford the glass. I refuse to be negative. There has to be a solution, and there are people a lot brighter than me. I bloody hope so. Anyway, there ought to be people in the racing industry a lot brighter than me, who are on a salary and are working full time to this one and only end. And they ought to be able to find a solution of sorts. Our problem is, I might have said this on a previous podcast, we warned everybody not feeling 100%. If you go to a Japanese car manufacturer and say, I've got a great idea for a new type of engine, they'll say, well, how long will it take to make that? And you'll go, 25 years. And they'll go, yeah, it looks like a good idea. You start on it and pass it on to your son when it's ready, when you retire. Here, if you've got an idea and it can't be done within 6 months, forget it. It's gone. No, we're not working on that. Work on something else. And my point behind that is, I think that's the thing with racing. We need to look at a very long-term solution.
We do.
It needs to start now with an end goal in, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be, and get there. But you're going to have the same problem now when you come to whoever with a budget and say, I need £1 million for want of an argument, because then I can do this, this, and this. And they'll go, oh, it's going to take 2 years.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a long-term problem, and one that we need to get over somehow. Now, I appreciate, it's like when you watch Premier League football and you look at your owners and you go, why hasn't he just spent £100 million on another striker? Well, because the reality is it's his money, not yours. Why should we all want him to, but you can't make him do it. Well, I'm the same with racing. I wonder whether racing could come up with a expensive even solution, as long as it's properly, so it's not just a waste of money, and then go out, I'm going to say the likes of Sheikh Mohammed and Qatar Racing and Michael O'Leary and JP McManus and so on. I mean, I've mixed flat and jumps there, but the same problem, the similar problem arises. It's just more jumps focused at the moment. And say, could you not cough up some money for this? We'll give you shares in this new company that's going to do this, this, and this, but we need a £10 million budget to start.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm not expecting to go to these guys. They just go, yeah, I'll give you a blank check. You've got to come up with a proper solution first. But I would like to think that people in racing who love the sport, if you gave them a proper funded solution that they agreed with, would come up with the money.
Oh yeah, I'm sure though. I'm sure you're right. Yeah.
However, it didn't work when we all suggested that that's what they did when they sold the tote.
No.
No, but that's what we all suggested. Racing came in with a grouping to go and buy the tote, and then all the profits would have gone back into racing. Oh no, sell it to Betfred. Whose bright idea was that?
Yeah.
Never mind. Where are we going to next? Now I've waffled on whinging for
well, the crowds were down, but the fun was up. What can Cheltenham do to get the people back next year?
Yeah.
I don't think there's much Cheltenham can do, to be honest. I think national hunt racing is losing its flavour at the moment. But that's the fault of the racecourses. That also applies to the flat as well, not just the jumps. What I see the problem is Saturdays and festival meetings now are there only to attract what I call the posers. And for years now, the racecourses have pandered to those people rather than the person that wants to go and watch racing because they actually do quite like racing. And you've only got to see, I've given up going to Chester now because there's I was probably one of about 30 people in a crowd of about 10,000 that actually wanted to go and see the racing. Everybody else was just standing around drinking beer and picnicking in the middle of the track and getting absolutely blotto. And the thing is, now
good so far.
Sorry?
Sounds good so far.
Yeah. But the thing is, now that these people are leaving the sport because, I don't know, who wants to pay £8 for a pint of Guinness? What they're now doing is they're going back to the people who love racing and saying, do you fancy coming back? Well, I wouldn't go back and pay £8 for a pint of Guinness either. I'll be honest with you. You'll find some people will, some people won't. But I told you the other day, I got an email from Cheltenham 2 days after the meeting had finished. 50% off for next year if you're interested. I'm not interested. I won't. No, because I know the costs that go with it once you're actually at the track. They've got to do something about that. If people want to take sandwiches in, let them take sandwiches in and don't confiscate them at the gate. You know, it used to be a good family day out where you could pack your picnic bag, go and watch the racing. You could go and have a little bet on the rails and go home, and everything was funded properly. But now nothing is, and they're trying to now recoup the money they're losing from the posers from us, and it's not going to happen overnight. They've got to do something about prices and be realistic about what it is they're actually selling now.
Yeah, I actually think next year will be busier.
Well, if they're selling tickets at 50% off.
I don't think it's even that. I think it's because this year, I mean, most people listening won't like this because it comes up later anyway. I think it's your Constitution Hills, your John Bonds, your Galloping the Shop getting beaten.
Yeah.
We'll get people back next year, because who wants to go back a 1-4 shot? I mean, did you ever bet on any of those I mentioned?
I did not know.
No,
well,
you thought they'd win. Yeah, you thought they'd win, but because of the price, you didn't want them to bet.
No.
So, and that's the same with me. Other than John Pond, which I did my brains on, but that's another story. No, and I think that will attract people back, because I think they're fed up with odds-on favourites. Word is that allowing people to drink in the betting ring made for a much better atmosphere, because people could walk out with their pint, grab a bet, and walk back.
Yeah.
Whereas before, well, where do you leave a pint that you're going to be able to find it and identify it? You've got no chance whatsoever. So that encouraged the rails, and they did a brisk turnover as well. I think they need to do more than that. I don't know this, okay? So if I'm wrong, anyone from the jockey club listening in can have a go at me. But I wonder if there's an extra layer in there. When they're selling a pint of Guinness now, do the jockey club franchise out, for one of their phrase, someone to run the bar? Because if they do, that's another layer brought in, isn't it? So, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying this is the case, but I know for certain other tracks this is the case. Run it yourself.
Yeah.
And then you could probably knock £1 off a pint.
Yeah.
And still make more money than you're making now at that price. And then people would go, oh, even if you knocked it down 20 pence, it'd be a headline maker for Cheltenham knocking 20 pence off next year, wouldn't it? And you could do that. I've written down, because purely by fluke, because I'm that stupid, I didn't even realise I'd booked a few days in Spain for the start of the Cheltenham Festival. So I was there for the Tuesday, managed to watch it, obviously, and get my work done as you do. But you're reading all this stuff about people going to Spain, and the reason they go is for the sunshine. Okay, well, no one can do anything about sunshine in March. That's, there's nothing you can do about that. That's what it is. The price of accommodation, well, maybe someone could do something or have more of a look about that. And the price of drink. Well, there's certainly things that can be done about that. Now, I know that Cheltenham have been talking to the local, whatever, hotel association, saying basically you're profiteering. And they're saying, no, we're not. And I don't know the rights and wrongs in that. I'm not clever enough. But the bottom line is, for me, I live around about 3.5 hours away from Cheltenham. I'm not driving there and back and staying teetotal all day if I go. No way. Where's the fun in that for Cheltenham? So if I drive there, I've got to pay £250 to stay in basically a travel lodge. Who wants to do that? So £259 for that's for Monday nights. I'm there for Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, maybe even Friday night. I can't afford to do that.
No.
I'm not looking for sympathy that I can't afford to do that. Most people can't afford to do that, or if they do, they could go on a holiday somewhere else for that and take their wife with them. Perhaps that's the downside.
You're in trouble now, mate.
Sorry, wives everywhere. I think they are starting to look at it. Whether it's too little, too late, I don't know. But I think they are starting to look at it and going. The other thing is, I suspect Cheltenham subsidises all the other courses. Because other courses are surviving with an average gate of 1,000. So I don't suppose Cheltenham dropping to 35,000 is going to make them go bankrupt. Perhaps they need to reallocate their monies, look at the finances, and go, okay, well, this is the expected attendance at Cheltenham from now on.
Yeah.
Therefore, everybody else needs to cut costs and/or put prices up and/or do free offers or whatever it may be to get people into the other tracks. I don't know.
Yeah. Somebody's just got to get creative.
Yeah, and that seems to be where the problem lies. I'm the least creative.
Isn't it just? Yeah.
I'm not creative at all.
It's like I was reading an article about the BHA and their marketing plans.
Oh dear.
And what they did was they sent out the marketing brief to a marketing company.
Yeah.
But then they told the marketing company that as soon as they come up with a brief, they had to refer it back to the BHA for them to ratify it and look through it and make sure they were happy with it. Now, My idea of marketing is, if you're going to say to a company that specializes in marketing, design me a plan, fund it, and get it going, right? Then that is what you do. There's no good a marketing company doing something for post racing. No. It's going to introduce it to 10 million people and then them come to me and say, right, this is what we've got, what do you think? Because A, I haven't got a clue, and B, I haven't got a clue. That's why you employ the marketing people. There are marketing geniuses out there. And it's like this guy concluded his piece by saying, he quoted this famous marketer, I can't remember who his name was. He said, but if you go into any park or museum, he said, have you ever seen a statue of a committee?
Good point. Yeah.
You know, it's always the statues of the people who get the job done. And yet all we seem to be doing with racing is passing it on to committees, and they pass it on to another committee. And that's why we're in the mess we're in now. Simple as that.
There's also a C to add to your A and your B, and that is if I'm a marketing company, I'm not coming up with a big list of ideas, then giving it to you to look at so you know what they all are, and then you come back and go, yeah, I don't want it now, but thanks for those ideas.
I know.
Fantastic. We'll run with them ourselves now.
Yeah.
Who's going to do that?
You've got to trust people to do a job. Let them do the job. You know.
Yeah, I think budgets are tight. I accept that, and marketing is incredibly expensive, as you know.
Well, marketing. Trust me, I know.
But someone's got to bite the bullet sometime and go, either we do marketing or we flush them. But never mind. Let's not be so negative. Let's have a quick mini review.
The individual highs and lows of last week.
Yeah.
Personal high was making a profit from the meeting, as it would be.
Obviously.
But performance-wise, it's got to be fact or file. I thought that was the Ryanair that he won. And he wasn't beating trees.
No.
That was the best performance of the week by a country mile. I think if they do send him for the Gold Cup next year, he wins it.
Yes, I didn't like him at all, to be honest with you, because I didn't think he'd win, but that's another story.
A lot of people thought that. Yeah, they were thinking he just hasn't got the form to win that.
I thought he might have been caught short over the 2.5 miles, to be honest with you. That was all.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with the form. I just didn't think he'd particularly be up to doing it over that trip. But sometimes you have to admit to being wrong regularly. Yes, he was I think the new Lion was my highlight.
Yeah, what a fighter.
Yeah, he's a battler, and Skelton said to me that they've never got to the bottom of him yet.
No.
Nowhere near it. They've no idea how good he is.
No.
None at all. And the thing that came out for me, unfortunately, this is quite a sad thing, particularly for Constitution Hill, because he's running out of time to prove himself an all-time great. Really.
Well, he is, yeah.
I think the new generation might be coming through now.
Well, I think so too. Yeah.
He'll beat John
I read another article. I read articles, you know, and the guy spoke a lot of sense. And he was saying, if you watch Constitution Hill in every race he's ever run, he is full on choke out, and he's taken off at least half a stride, sometimes a stride earlier than any other horse in a race, and he basically gets away with it. And obviously this is now being kind of wise after events, because he was unbeaten in how many races? 12 or 13. But you know, and the last time, the time before Cheltenham, he nearly went at the last. And this time he has gone. Now, has something gone in his head, or has he just been very unlucky? And we'll come back next season and we'll see it's impossible to see the Constitution Hill of 2 or 3 years ago now, isn't it?
He's getting on a bit, isn't he? I mean, there's not that many miles on the clock.
No.
So he may well come back. I hope he does, because I do genuinely think from what we saw beforehand, that he was potentially one of the all-time greats.
Well, he was already the highest rated. Hadn't he beaten Night Nurse's official rating?
You're probably right. My memory's not today. I mean, he's done remarkably well. A brilliant horse, but now that's sort of being a little bit tarnished. I'm sure Nicky will want to bring him back and put any doubts to bed before they retire him.
Yeah.
But he's never going to go down as a Istabrack or anything now, I'm afraid. I think
he's not
going to be next year at 11 and then the following year at 12, is he?
No.
Am I right in thinking he's 10? Or is he 10 next year? You don't know anymore.
100% sure.
I'm looking it up now. He's not. He's currently he's on 8 at the moment, so he could come back at 9 and 10. But
he could do. Yeah. To be honest with you,
point in his favour, do they? Let's be honest.
I don't think the 2 mile division's that strong. Take the new Lion out. What have you got?
Yes, that's potentially true.
Yeah, I thought the Triumph was naff.
Triumph winner.
The Triumph was naff. The Supreme winner, Kopek to Dudar, he was impressive. But I'm still thinking there's going to be something around to beat him, as a top class 2 miler. In fact, I think he'd probably go up in trip next season. But,
I wasn't that impressed with him, to be honest with you. I mean, he won well, but I wasn't overly impressed. But,
there was only fact off that I thought, what a performance that was. But then I suppose when you've seen 5 odds-on shots turned over, I thought I said to you at the beginning of the week, Maisborough's going to get beat, John Bond's going to get beat, Constitution Hill's going to get beat, and Galloping de Champs, they're all going to get beat.
And Ballyburn.
That'd have been said to the funny farm, wouldn't I?
You would, yeah. Usually one of those odds-on accumulators goes astray, i.e. any power from those years ago. But that was all of them went astray.
Yeah.
Really, I've never seen that. But I think that will encourage people next year, because I don't want to back on it. I don't want to go to the ring with my £10 note and put it on an 8 to 13 shot or a 1 to 3 shot.
No.
What's the point of doing that? You walk off going, I had a winner and I've got an extra, I can almost buy an ice cream with it.
Yeah. Well, it's like you and I did before the Triumph. I sent you a message saying, do you know what? I've thrown a fiver at one of Mullins outsiders here.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And then you fired back. I've done exactly the same thing, but a different horse. That one that it was a beaten favourite had run second. It was about 66 to 1 or something. It was like we both had a premonition that something was going on there.
Yeah, didn't get it right though, did we?
No, we didn't get it right, no. Not like that guy in the ring. What was it? £100 each way at 150 to 1.
That's just insane. But it depends how much money you've got, I suppose, isn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
£20,000 spare cash to bet with, then what's £100 each way for fun?
Well, exactly, yeah.
And not for me at the moment. Right, shall we move on to, it's not the best racing this weekend, but this racing, racing, I managed to dig out, and I mean dig out, was it 4 races I managed to get to, and even that was a struggle.
Yeah, you were, yeah.
Yeah, by the way, for those of you feeling old enough, I just had to mention this because I'm actually lied awake thinking about this. This is how bad I am. And also today, there is a race called the... Do we do it at the 225? Yeah, we do. The Ladbrokes Go North Cab on Target handicap.
Oh, Cab on Target. Reevely's horse.
Yeah, retired 25 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I just looked it up while we were on air because I thought about that all night thinking, Cab on Target, I remember that. This could be embarrassing when I look at how long ago that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he retired. His last race was in 2000.
What a horse he was.
Gary, we are covering that one. That's right. Okay, we're going to start with the 150 at Kelso. The Ladbrokes Big Value you can bet on. Big Value you can bet on mares, hurdle, listed race, registered as the Beeswing. Thank goodness we have these nice small titles. I wish I was paid by the word, Ron. I'd be rich from that.
You would be, yeah. No,
who's going to win this one, Ron? Who's going to win it?
Well, we've only got 6 runners going to post.
Oh, no. Sorry about that.
And the race has never been run before, so I'm pretty much stuck. As I've been saying in recent newsletters, we're now reaching what I call the fag end of the national hunt season. Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to us doing our very first video together when we'll probably be discussing the forthcoming flat season. We'll decide on a date for that and scare everybody witless.
I'll be Brad Pitt mask or something.
Yeah. We've got a rock solid odds on shot here in Why Not, rated £9 and more, superior to any of these. And yet he's only got to give the next best of these. That's the Irish trained Ottosini, £4.
Yep.
And she beat that one by 9 lengths the last time they met. In April last year, this Why Not ran Golden Ace to less than 9 lengths. Now we know what that one's gone on and done. So she should beat this lot, given she's the joint least exposed runner in the field as well. She only had 7 starts, I think it's 7 or 9 starts over hurdles. Everything else is, you've seen them enough times, you know exactly what they are. So she's still open to improvement. You'd hardly say she's been over raced this season, just 4 starts. And 2 of those, I've seen her in the winners' enclosure. For me, it's just got to be Why Not?
Well, why not? Yes.
Why not?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm afraid we're going to agree on this one. Yeah, well, I've got her down. She's dropped in class to the listed event after running in a grade 2 last time out at Doncaster. She's won at the track, albeit that was over 2 miles in 2023. She's got a distance win at Doncaster. That's the one where she was 9 lengths ahead of Ottesini and £4 worse off for 9 lengths here. And she's won on the predicted good going as well. Too many boxes ticked for me. I can't possibly oppose her. I mean, I can't see. It's one of those things at this time of year. Who would be surprised? Why are the Irish? Why has Mr. Crawford sent Ottesini over?
Yeah.
He knows she's up against it. That makes you worried a little, shall we say? Pardon me, excuse me. But yeah, why not for me? Looks like the best horse, the best form. All the conditions seem to suit. Nothing to dislike, is there, really?
No. If she loses, it's not because she wasn't the best horse in the race. Simple as that.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it doesn't happen. No. And I can get evens, by the way, for your odds on. There's evens available at the moment, which may not be that exciting, but I'll take it. I'll take it on this one. When you look at the ones we're doing today, I'll take it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Right, 225 Kelso, the Ladbrokes go north, cab on target, handicap hurdle, cab on target for all those races we enjoyed. A handicap which makes it Ron's cup of tea.
Yeah.
I noticed there's not a lot of history to it, which I didn't realise when I chucked it in.
Oh no, that's okay. What I've taught myself to do is when we get a race like this, I have a little look at other stuff, and it'll either work or it doesn't. I think we had a 9-1 winner earlier in the season when we found a race that I couldn't work on, but there was the 9-1 winner. Fingers crossed. Now we've only had 2 previous runnings of this, so again, I'm not able to profile it or even semi-profile it. It's a proper race, though, isn't it?
It is.
It is. Hopefully all 16 go to post and we can play for those 4 places, which feels like a bit of a luxury these days, doesn't it?
Not a chance. Something will be pulled out. Guarantee it.
It's a nailed on certainty, isn't it?
Yeah, sadly.
As I say, we've only had the 2 previous run-ins, but the one thing I've noticed is both the winners to date have been ridden by a claimer.
Yep.
That might be a clue. Also,
hope so.
10 horses aged 6 have run in it. And of those 10 horses, they produced a winner and 2 of the placed horses. So I'm thinking, okay, if I've got a 6-year-old ridden by a claimer, might be onto something.
Yeah,
both the winners so far have also carried less than 11 stone. Now, it's not profiling as such because I need a minimum of 10 races, but, it's a bit of rope and we can pull on it. I've got as much confidence in this race as I have of tightrope walking across the Grand Canyon, but I've got a short list of 2 that fit the age, the claimer, and the weight. And they are Acnamara and the Jeweller's Pet.
All
both
right.
6-year-olds, both are claimer ridden, both carry less than 11 stone. I'm happy to Dutch the 2 because they're both double figure prices. But for the 2080, I'm going to put up Acnamara. Kelso is a pretty sharp left-handed track.
Yeah.
And Phil Kirby has been running this horse at sharp left-handed tracks, Catterick and Sedgefield, and won both times at those tracks. So that is what I'm seeing as preparation for this race. Connor Rabbit rides tomorrow, and he's been on board for those 2 wins as well. It's speculative because, like I say, the trends don't exist. But I'm thinking that one will give me a run for my money at around about 10-1. I'll have a 2080 Acnamara. Oh, and by the way, Phil Kirby's got around about a 60% RTF figure at the moment. So the horses are running really well.
Well, I did look at the Jeweller's Pet because he's on for a hat trick, but both his wins have been on soft and heavy.
Yeah, that's what I saw too, yeah.
The ground looks likely to be considerably quicker. I mean, obviously it can change by race time, but at the moment it's forecast as good ground.
Yeah.
Valley 4 absolutely hacked up last time out. First start since the wind operation, but he's got up £9 for that. He could shrug that off and improve again. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put anyone off backing Valley 4. Well, the one I like is John Joe and AJ O'Neill's Sabre.
Ah, yeah. Looked at that.
It's a 5-year-old, so I lose out on Ron's 6-year-old thing, and I lose out because he's carrying 11-11. But we have got a claimer. Benjamin Mason claiming £7 off his back. He's very lightly raced for a 5-year-old. He's won 2 of his 4 starts over hurdles and 1 of his 2 bumpers. He's a son of Harzan, so there's no reason whatsoever. This ground should be bread and butter to him, really, compared to some of the others who are going to struggle on it if it's too quick. 14-1. Former 1-3-1-1-2 on his last few races. There's not a lot to dislike about him each way at 14-1, as far as I can tell. So have a saver on saver at 14-1 in the 225 cab on target handicap hurdle. I'll turn you
going each way on that?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I just realised turning into Matt Chapman for a minute then, so I suddenly decided that wasn't a good idea. Right, off to Newbury next.
Yeah.
What we got next?
I actually quite like the look of this race, you know.
And somebody does.
There's two of them that caught my eye. One is Judgment of Solomon, and the other one was Coconut Grove. Chris Gordon, he's won 2 of the last 4 runnings of this race. And he sends Judgment of Solomon, who cost 90,000 guineas out of Sir Mark Prescott's yard, to make his hurdling debut here. And not only that, but he's booked what I consider to be the best rider of a hurdler in the UK to get on board, Harry Cobden. There's got to be something in that. He was a beaten favourite on his last start for Sir Mark Prescott. That was about 160 years ago, when he was actually ridden by Nico de Boinville in a professional jump jockeys race at Goodwood.
Yep.
I've not got an accurate tissue just yet, but I have seen around about 10-1. Okay. The other one, as I say, is Coconut Grove, and this one also makes debut, but for Harry Fry. The early tissue has this one in around about 6-1. Harry's got a great record in this race. He's sent 4 for it, and he's won with 2. And they usually go off quite fancy too. So keep an eye on the market with this one. Coconut Grove, currently 6-1. The markets will open tonight round about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Make sure you're online and having a little look at that. If they start nibbling away, take the price. The trends and the stats say we want a 5-year-old trading front 3 on the tissue, and that they also need to be carrying 11 stone or more, which would basically count out the 2 I've just spoken about, because they're debutants and they're both carrying around about 10-7.
Yeah.
But that's by the by. 7 of the last 8 winners were actually front 2 on the tissue, and the most obvious winner is therefore Don't Mind If I Do. He got turned over at 8-15 last time up, but I put that down to the heavy ground. His form on good to soft is more than good enough to win this, and he fits the trends big time. But just make sure you do keep a beady eye on one of those 2 debutants in the market as well. I'm going to put up Don't Mind If I Do, but yeah, I'll probably have a little saver on those 2 as well. Might even dutch them.
I love Ron stealing all my thunder. Just makes it want to bother getting out of bed. Coconut Grove fascinated me. I have to say, we haven't discussed these before, and you think we did?
I know.
My lucky pin has come down on the side of unknown quantity Coconut Grove. The winner is only start in France at a place called Divan-les-Bains in the province. That form means absolutely nothing to me.
No,
but it does prove that he knows how to get his head in front, which is, some horses don't like to get their head in front, so that's one thing in his favour. Son of Martin Craftsman out of a high chaparral mare. He's bred for the flat, really, but his new connections have other ideas for now, at least. He should have been well schooled by Harry. I hope so, Harry. If you're listening, make sure you give me some schooling.
That'll be
tomorrow, maths, algebra, whatever. He could be the surprise package here. I have no idea what prices anyone knew. I just had a look. There are no tissue prices I can see. There's nothing on Odds Checker at all for the race. We're in guesswork. I could be tipping a 6-4 favourite each way, or I could be tipping a 33-1 shot and wishing I hadn't bothered. But Coconut Grove each way for me, in the hope that he's 6-1 or better.
Right.
But it's
each way, each way.
It's going to be a guesstimate for each way. Yes,
it is.
And then we come to possibly not Ron's favourite, I don't suppose, but one of the more interesting races of the day.
Yeah.
Right. The 425 at Newbury, the Goffs 100 grand bumper worth £9,000 to the winner.
Yeah.
Middle of the card on Newbury on a Saturday after Cheltenham. That is some prize money. Who do you think is going to win this?
Well, I tell you what I tend to do before I look at the race itself is look at what's won it in the past, who's won it in the past, trainer, jockey, that type of thing. Last year it was won by a decent horse called Regent Stroll. And if you look at the form of Regent Stroll, he was beating Don't Mind If I Do, my selection in the race before, in this very race last year. Harry Fry won this 3 years in succession between 2017 and 19 inclusive, but he's got nothing in here tomorrow. 6 of the last 7 winners returned SPs of 7-2 or shorter. And the only qualifier right now that I've got is the skeleton runner Cadastral, who was a beaten favourite on debut. He cost a good wedge of money, 82,000 quid. But the yard has been absolutely farming bumpers this season. Did you know they've had more than 20 winners of bumpers this season alone? That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to put him up as my pick because it's guesswork right now. But in the morning when you get your newsletter, in the morning when you get your newsletter, make sure you check the OMS for this race, because I'm absolutely cast iron certain the winner will be in the OMS.
Interesting. I'm quickly looking while talking very slowly to see if I can find any tissue for the race. And tissue. I've got 7-2 Cadastral.
Yeah.
At the Oki 5-1, connect the dot 6s, 7s bar. It's an interesting race purely because of the value.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see some of these horses that potentially could have headed to Cheltenham and didn't. They stayed back for this. There are some interesting ones in there. You have to say that Blue de Nerf for Mr. Crawford and Talk the Talk are both interesting. We Talk the Talk. Those two, looking at jockey bookings and colours. Hard Stare, Anthony Honeyball's point to point. Won very, very easily in his point to point, and then we all look at it and go, "Oh, he's a point to pointer, and he's going through a 2-mile bumper, so he won't have the speed." Wrong, he won a 2-mile point to point. And you don't see too many of those here. But he made all the running, so I wonder if he's going to try and make all the running here. He could go well. I have come down on, in the end, I'm with Ron, I'm afraid, Cadastral and Skelton, Harry Skelton. He ran well. He beaten favourite his 1 start second at Kempton last month. I'm trying to scroll down the page, as you can tell. Winner got first run on him that day, and he came from out of the clouds, basically. Did remarkably well to finish second in the circumstances. I suspect he'll be ridden a lot closer to the pace today. He's bypassed Cheltenham. Whether he's ever entered is another matter. I have no idea. That's the truth of it. I'm not going to pretend I do. But they've sensibly, all these people who sensibly left Cheltenham on the back burner, and decided to come here to try and pick up £59,000. So Cadastral looks the obvious one, and that'll be my one to win. Wouldn't put anyone off having a little each way on Hard Stare if the price is big enough.
Yeah. Another one you might want to have a little look at as well is Tildersley Wood.
Yeah.
He was another one that ran well at Doncaster in January, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'd rather have something with a little bit of experience than something that's probably going to turn out as green as grass. I want something, even if it didn't win last time out, it knows what to do on the race course. That can count for at least £7 in a bumper. I don't want one carrying a penalty either. I don't like horses carrying penalties in bumpers. No. So I'm going for Cadastral, but I'm going to see what the betting says about Tildersley Wood as well.
I don't think there are any penalties in this race.
Oh, they're not? I never checked that. I just assumed.
I could well be wrong. I'm having a quick look now, only because it looks like it's the older horses that have got the extra.
Right, okay.
No penalties. Winner of a race, £4. My apologies. You're quite right. Winner of 2 races, £6. So there is a penalty. The other one to look out for is Talk to the Man, who fits the exact scenario of what we were saying earlier. Won a bumper in Ireland, sold for £100,000, and got beaten 9 lengths on his debut in an Exeter bumper. Yeah. You'd like to think he's better than that. If I'd have paid the £100,000 out, I'd like to think he was better than that. Yeah. But I don't know that he is. But he's another. You could literally go down all of these, pretty much all of these.
You could.
And make a half sensible argument. Even Nick Gifford's half hoping. Nick's having a pretty good season for him. No offence, he's quite a relatively small yard near me down in Findon. That's bred to be reasonable. I wouldn't put anyone off backing anything they want, to be honest.
No, that's a fact. Yeah. But keep your eye on the market, though, because when it comes to a bumper, the market doesn't have to give clues off. It really does.
And keep an eye on the winner. I know that sounds stupid. I've never had a chance to test this, or I don't think I have anyway. I was always told from a little boy upwards that any horse that wins 2 bumpers is a very good horse.
Yeah.
Trying to win a second bumper with a penalty is really difficult to do. So that's a possibility. I don't understand these penalties though, because Cadastral carries 11.6, and then Club de Rive, who's won a race, carries 11.6. Explain that. But that's what it says up in the conditions anyway. Weights 4-year-olds 10 stone 10, 5-year-olds 11 stone 6. Penalties: a winner of a race £4, of 2 races £6. Allowances to fillies and mares maybe back down again. I don't know. It's confusing living daylights at me. I'll have a look when we got there. It's one of those things that's going to wind me up.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what I was thinking. I was going to ask you a question the other day about bumpers.
All right.
And you won't have the answer because I don't think one exists.
Not today, I won't. That's what you're.
Well, when it comes to the Cheltenham bumper, all the bumper runners have an official rating, right?
Yeah.
Any other bumper run in the country doesn't have a horse with an official rating.
That's surprising me if that's the case, is it?
It is the case. I found out why they do it.
Yeah.
It's because otherwise the bumper will be oversubscribed and they've got to have a cut-off limit. Right?
If they can give it to them there, why can't they give it to them?
Why can't they give it to them on a daily basis for any bumper run at any time?
Yeah.
Because I do look at official ratings for things like that. And if you haven't got any, and this was my deciding fact when I came to the Cheltenham bumper. Yeah. My way of selecting the winner, we got the winner, was I looked at my shortlist, and it was a fact that when I selected Relegate, it fitted all the trends and the official ratings and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And this Bambino Fever fitted all those trends and official ratings. It was the joint highest rated horse in the race. And at that particular stage of their career, that's got to count for something. Well, it obviously did because the horse went and won the race. But I'd like that every single day of the week, please, BHA, if you don't mind.
It goes under the header of what do I know? I hadn't even noticed that, is the truth of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you can give a rating after running once.
Well, they do it.
Well, yeah, you're right. I appreciate. Well, actually, that had run twice before that, so maybe she'd run twice before, so maybe that's how she got a rating. But all the others, not all of them had run twice, have they?
No.
So interesting. Okay, it's a question I'll try and breach on at the moment.
Yeah, it would be nice because they give an official rating for a Class 5. So come on, you know.
Yeah. I'll add it to the list of questions that include what happened to the ground at Uttoxeter last week. I'm waiting for an answer on that. I will get one. The people I deal with are amicable and efficient to get an answer, but it won't be a simple answer, I'm sure. No. There's issues on that again. I don't just boring back on it, which is why I brought it to their attention. If you look at the pro form results, you will find the ground was soft and in some races heavy for Uttoxeter last weekend. If you look at time forms, you will find they're soft and heavy in places as well, depending on which race you're looking at, I believe. You can double check that for yourselves. If you look at the racing poster at the races, it's good to soft throughout because that's what they declared on the day and that's how they left it.
Yeah.
And in time form's opinion, looking at the times of the races, pro form's opinion, looking at the times of the races, that is not what the ground was. Now, my issue is that you and I are looking at that Kelso race today, for want of an argument, and it's good to soft today. And you're looking and go, oh, that horse won at good to soft last weekend at Uttoxeter. He'll go well. No, he didn't. He won on heavy ground last weekend on Uttoxeter.
Yeah.
If this is genuinely good to soft ground, he might hate it. And that's not, well, what a childish thing to say. That's not fair on punters. But it's not fair on punters, is it? You should be looking at the form book, and it's great. Now, I understand Clarkson, of course, can get it wrong. Blimey, I get things wrong all the time. Just look at my tips, you'll soon find that out. But there's no reason why they can't, after the event, go, actually, that wasn't good to soft after all. We're going to change it all to soft and then go back in and get it all changed. So at least in the form book for the future, that appears as soft ground or heavy ground, whatever it was. Not as ground it most clearly was not. Still, never mind. Time for you to press your fictitious OMS button.
Yay! Well, I will enter up little bits of applause, but what I've done is I've looked back at Cheltenham. Because one of the things I put before I set my Cheltenham special up, I made sure everybody realised that as important as anything that I do regarding profiling, etc., if you're not watching the markets these days, even for festival races, you're going to get stuffed. The very first one that I'm going to bring it to everybody's attention was Cargess, 9-1 into 100-30 into 3-1 in the newsletter. Won at 3-1, pulling a caravan. The next one, on the very first day in the Ultima, Mayatown, 16-1 into 10-1 in the newsletter, led from start to finish. They never saw which way it went. It won at 13-2 favourite.
Nice.
And last but not least, Jimmy de Soil. I'm going to pronounce it Soil because I don't know how else to pronounce it.
Fair enough.
25-1 into 12-1 in the first newsletter. Eased slightly to 14-1 in a race like that. It would do. Won at 16-1.
Well, it's not quite on your OMS list, but there's one called Doddy the Great, back from 33 to 1 to 25 to 1. And one at Cheltenham, and I tipped it everywhere.
And you tipped it. Do you know what I made sure everybody knew about that, mate.
You did, but I don't know if there might be people listening who don't read. Yeah, I went round, as those of you know very briefly, went to Nicky Henderson's talking about the potential final. The other journalists kept mentioning other horses. He kept coming back to Doddy the Great. I pointed that out, and he goes and wins at 25 to 1.
Yeah, and it was in your lucky 15 as well for that particular day.
There's the only one that was, but never mind.
Hey, you only need one of those. You only need one of those. Yeah.
Good fun though, good fun. We'll do the same thing next year because that was good fun.
Yeah.
Nice to go talk to them. So, right, something for the weekend, sir.
I don't mind if I do.
Don't know the horse. Yes.
Yeah, don't mind if I do. I can't see that being beaten. Back on a firmer, well, a quicker surface. I won't say firmer. Back on a quicker surface, it'll make that heavy ground run totally obsolete. It'll win. Well, I think it'll win tomorrow. I hope it'll win tomorrow.
Well, I can't change my mind because when I wrote this, I didn't know the prices, so I don't want to change my mind. I'm going to stick with Why Not in the 150 at Kelso, particularly dull, even money at best. Tempted to quickly switch to Saver each way, but I'm not going to. Once you've made your decision, you made your decision.
Yeah.
Why Not to win 150 Kelso?
I'll tell you, I'll take 100% profit on a race any day of the week.
Oh, well, if it wins.
That's a fact.
The way I feel it won't do, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Right, anything else we need to discuss before we sign
I don't think there is this week. No.
Wow. We kept it
fairly short. What we're coming up for, 52 minutes? That's not bad.
We don't want to bore them if there's nothing to bore them with. We can bore them witless. Make sure I say that right. We can bore them witless. Next time we've got more to talk about, so not a problem. I don't know if I'll talk to Ron afterwards whether we're back next week. I can do next. Can't do the week after. I think that's correct. Yeah. Do next week. I'm going to be in Dubai for the week after. So for the World Cup.
Oh, what a shame.
I know. All sympathy votes accepted. Anyone wants to send me some AED dirhams to help me pay my way, feel free. Yeah, that didn't work very well, did it? Okay, right. Have a good weekend, one and all. Racing's not all that, but the flat season is just around the corner.
It isn't all. And the sunshine.
Yeah, that would be nice. A few pins o'clock at Goodwood.
Yeah.
Seems a lifetime ago. Right, leave you in peace. Have a good weekend, everybody. Take care.
Yeah. See you soon. Bye-bye now.
Post Racing, the site for winners.